have this, number one, to show you my gavel, because I'm showing it off. But number two, because Tim Burchett is going to be on. And if Tim talks too much, you know what's going to happen? Boom, boom. I love him. He doesn't care if I did that. He knows how much I love him. Without doubt, top 5 in the Congress, right?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
I mean, this guy, he's not the leader. I kind of think, and I don't know this to be true, by the way. I just understand leadership. After all, I lectured on it 500 times, and including to the SEALs. And I wrote on it both a book and then specific programs. This is the guy I'd call. This would be my guy. In other words, if I were the speaker, this would be my guy. Not whoever is designated. He'd be my guy to get the vote when look, we got to get this vote for the president. The president's tried. I've tried. We can't. Tim, go get him.
Right.
I swear to you, Tim would come back with the vote. I don't know. I wouldn't ask him what he did. Sort of like I had with Peter Powers. There were oftentimes I said, Peter, you got to get me that vote. He said, no matter what. I said, no matter what. And I got the vote, and he never told me.
Hello.
And now it was true. A couple of times they were walking around like with crutches, but I didn't ask how that happened.
He's there now. Okay.
That of course is not true. Do you have a sense of humor? Okay. I must say that Abigail Spanberger's reply, which we were talking about toward the end of the other show, I don't know, was it the worst? Oh man, I've seen terrible ones on both sides, but this was pretty bad. It delivered nothing, doom and gloom, and then you can't escape the fact you're talking about Virginia, the place where they want to kill babies after they come out of the womb, if they've escaped the tortures of being chopped up as an 8 or 9 month old fetus. Even if they escape that, which means God wants them to be born, one would think. The governor made it clear, Governor Nordstrom. Didn't they close that department store?
Nordstrom, yeah. Northern. Governor Northern.
Governor who?
You're talking about Northern back in the day?
Yeah, and of course, I'm not going to play it because they fight me on this all the time. He definitely says it. He definitely says 100% after the child is born that you were trying to abort. If the mother is unconscious after the mistake happens, the mistake is the birth of the child. You wait a reasonable period of time so the mother can be conscious and make a choice with the doctor. Now, when that, to me, child, I don't know what they call it, somebody they can kill, comes out of the womb, that person is protected by every right that you and I have. Then we have no doubt that's a person. You shouldn't, when it's, sloshing around and the woman looks just like your kid. But in any event, we kill those in many states. But once we pull it we got no choice now. Governor Nord, murderer, says you then put the baby aside, keep it comfortable, and then the mommy and the Dr. Death can decide what happens. Sorry, boys and girls, there is no choice as to what happens. There are only two things that can happen, right? You help the kid to live, you let the kid die. You let the kid die. We call it first-degree murder. There are 5 suspicious cases like that under the poor excuse for a communist, red Chinese communist implant, Tampon Tim. And Tampon Tim, when the law like that first went into effect, reported the first 3 or 4 or 5 and got criticized for not doing enough to keep the baby alive. So the baby then died. And the issue was the people reporting it said Tampon Tim had the baby killed. Well, we never got that resolved. That was under the crooked Biden administration that was killing babies all over the world, and putting little old ladies who prayed in front of abortion clinics in jail for 10 years. Well,
Mayor, we're just 1 minute away from our very special guest.
Did we find a picture of? I saw Tim. I saw.
We saw the representative out there on the floor. He had a very good spot.
He looked. He must have.
He got some words into some of them.
We do not review at all our interviews. I mean, sometimes we do because there's some information we need, or we don't know a person well. But for somebody like Tim's a very good friend. I have no idea what he's going to say. He can say anything he wants.
Well, let's bring him on. We've got him waiting right there. Let's bring him on. We don't want the congressman waiting. I'm sure he's got a very, very busy schedule. He's always in district talking to his constituents. Isn't that strange for Washington these days? Congressman Tim Burchett. There we go.
There he is.
Any way to? Oh, he wants to show off those guns.
Oh yeah, those are my dad. My dad actually.
Nobody gonna mess with you, Tim.
Nah, there's nobody messed with my dad, Mayor. He took those off of. He was a Marine in the Second World War in the Pacific.
God bless him.
He took those off of dead Japanese soldiers.
Those are Japanese guns.
Yes, sir.
They're kidding.
They're probably not worth $150 a piece.
Yes, they are.
I wouldn't take $1 million for them.
Where are you now?
Knoxville, Tennessee. When
I come to Knoxville, Tennessee, you're going to show me those guns. Huh? I got to touch them.
You got it. Hey, I've got more than that. I've got some other stuff stowed away in safe, and I'll bring those out as well.
So now tell me, you're on your own, my friend. Tell me about last night. Your impression, how you feel about it. How many of you sat through, Ted?
It's my 8th year. So yeah, that'd be my 8th one, and it's surreal for me, Mayor. It really is. I mean, I know you've been at the pinnacle of power for a long time, but when J.D. Vance walks in and calls me Tim, the Secretary of State calls me Tim, the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, who I have grown to come very close to. I mean, not very close, but close enough I'd call him a friend.
You are a friend, and
he takes my calls,
and he admires you. I think you know this, but it's good to hear it from somebody who's been the president's friend for 40 years. He admires you a lot.
Well, he's always so kind. It's funny. When they get him on, he always tells me about something I said on CNN, and I busted one of those guys when I was defending him. And he gets a big kick out of that. I left the Oval. I was in there a couple of weeks ago, and I won't say who was in there, but I'll just say there were some national figures that were very strong. And I walked in the back of the Oval Office. I just try to soak it all in every time I'm in there, because I'm a kid from West Knoxville, brother. I mean, mom and dad, career educators. Dad was in the Corps. Mama flew an airplane. She didn't have electricity. She's a senior in high school. And, I walk in that Oval Office, and I just soak it in. I just look at the pictures. I think I'm going to try to remember everything that happened in here, and to me, it's just magical. I as the 435th most powerful member of Congress, I soak it up, brother. And so, and he calls me out. I'm sitting there in the back of the room. And you come in the Oval Office, the couches are there. His Chief, Miss Weil, is there, and maybe Marco Rubio. I can't remember who else is there. And he says, "Hey, Tim, come here, buddy. Talk to these guys." And I'm like, Jill. I mean, I got hair on the back of my neck still standing up when I talked about it. This was weeks ago. And he says, "Man, this is my buddy Tim." He goes, he was on CNN, and he does a great job, and they hate him or something, and it was just classic Trump. And he says, he's my buddy, and he's, and he never sleeps. And I've become coming at that too. I was on the morning of I can tell if we can talk about it now, it's been reported, but on yesterday morning, I get up at 4:30, and I thought, I'm gonna call the president. He doesn't take my calls most of the time. I know he's busy, and I'm just gonna tell him. And he answered the dadgum phone at like
4:30.
no, 6:30.
Yeah,
6:30.
don't tell
I'd
anybody
already
that.
been to the
Don't
gym
tell
and worked
anybody
out.
that. That's the
And,
time
and
to call him.
yeah, he's probably been up 4 hours by now.
Most people are afraid to call him then. Thank God, because that's the time to get him.
Yeah, and I just told him, I said, Mr. President, I just want you to, I said, he said, who is this? And I said, it's Tim Burchett. He goes, Tim from Tennessee. He said, oh man, he was straight. Yeah, he's just so great. And then he said, and I said, Mr. President, I just called to tell you, I'm praying for you today, and I know you're going to do great. And he goes, he just, how he is. He just told me he loved me, and just how, kind of how proud he was of me, and just being a friend to him, and I'm almost emotional thinking about it, because it's still those kind of things. The people of Knoxville, this area, East Tennessee, that sent me there, I think about them. I think about those guns behind me on the wall, and I just hope we're not going to throw it all away, Rudy, Mayor. Excuse me. No,
Rudy, all the time.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. And you're going back to what we lived through, because during the 4 years of Biden, they had thrown it away, and 4 more years. And I think you and I both agree on this. It would have been maybe irreparable.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We saw, I think they're going to close our churches down. These people hate our country. I was sitting there thinking last night, President Trump said they're sick, and he's right.
Wow. Wasn't that powerful?
Oh, and it was off the cuff. It was classic Trump. And I turned to Luna and Lauren Boebert beside me, and I said, dynamite. I love that. But I really do. I think we're going to lose our country. I always remember my dad prayed on the night Bill Clinton won. And, there's my daddy, a World War II combat veteran, and we elected a draft dodger. And Daddy said, I'll do the prayer, buddy. And I'd been reelected to the House. It wasn't, but I remember we eating I always like to say traditional Italian meal. We were having a Mr. Gaddy's pizza. I guess they had a coupon. And we had this little TV, and we were so proud of it because it was color, and it was like a cinder block. That thing must have weighed 150 pounds. It wasn't this big.
We're in Tennessee.
In Knoxville at our house on Bennington Drive,
right.
8220. I remember we were in the living room, and it's just me and Daddy. And Daddy said, I'll say the prayer, buddy. I said, yes, sir. And he said, and I prayed this prayer this week at the Republican Study Committee. They asked me to give the prayer. And I said this, and I told them the story. And Daddy said, Lord, please don't let us lose our country. Amen. And I just thought, wow, the bravest man I know. And, he's a fine Christian. Daddy's suffered from PTSD. You never would wake my dad up. If you were wake him up, never over the top of him. It was always by his big toe, because he might wake up on one of those godforsaken islands.
How many years later did that affect him to
the day he died?
And how long did he live?
He was mid-80s. He's
Wow.
84, 85.
That's a long time.
Well, my mama still cried when they played the national anthem, because she lost her brother Roy fighting the Nazis. And she would think he was 33. He was 32 when he went, died when he was 33. If you can imagine going through basic training at 32, they needed bodies for D-Day. And he was an educated man. Daddy said he'd have been the type that had been a university president, not like these communists we got now.
Yeah.
And because Daddy was a dean at UT, my daddy was, and Mama's brother Roy was the oldest of 7, and they all the boys went, and Mama flew an airplane during the war, and she was real badass. I know Kid Rock, but I know him too. I was at his house in Nashville several weeks ago, and I said, and they called him the American Badass, and I said, brother, let me correct you. I said, I was raised by the American badasses. And then I told him, now I'm going to show you this picture of my mama. Here it is. Somebody colorized it for me. Let me see here if you can see this.
Can we get a good shot of that, Ted?
Well, there it is. That's my mama in her airplane. She's 17 years old right there, Rudy. she is the American badass. She's a beautiful woman, and wait a minute, I'm losing it there. But anyway, that's her, and there she is. Her brother just gotten killed by the Nazis, and Mama did her part for the war effort while Daddy was off fighting the Japanese. So, I had an incredible.
Now you can ask him.
I told Kid Rock, I said, I was raised by the American badasses, and he agreed.
Well, you must have loved. I thought last night.
Those Medal of Honor recipients.
You can say anything you want, constructive criticism or whatever. I've been through most of his speeches, including helped to write some and seen the early ones, and I've seen some great speeches by him.
Yeah,
he's a much better speaker than he ever gets credit for.
No,
and
right.
He contributes a lot more to his speeches than people realize. You don't really write an important speech for him. He writes it and screws it around with you. Now, last night's speech, by far, number one. It was a brilliant speech for what it had to do. It did all the things. It hit every base it had to hit.
Yep.
It gave us a real feeling America's doing better. It gave us real specifics. It gave us the proof and the statistics, and then it got us to look up at what America's about.
Yeah, and where we came from.
Beat 100%. The living daylights out of our opponents, made them look horrible. Yeah, I actually felt bad for them. I felt bad. No, I felt bad for the fact that we need an opposition party, but it can't be them.
Yeah,
it's got to be an opposition party that loves America like we do, and maybe they're more liberal. I don't care, but they got to love America. They do not love America.
That's what I said. I was CNN. They cut me off when I was doing the interview. I said they clearly, the one thing I found they hate more than Donald Trump is the United States of America. They hate our country. They hate that flag. They hate our veterans. I mean, a little girl got run over by a truck that was being driven by an illegal alien, and she was there, and she's going to suffer the consequences of that for the rest of her dadgum life. Thank God we've got great doctors and medicine in this country, and she's alive, and she'll have some dignity in life, but she'll always have a disability because of that. And they would not stand to apply. I looked up there at Hakeem Jeffrey, he's a buddy of mine. Several times I shook my head. I just thought, how soulless can you be? And how can this country reelect them, Rudy? That's what I don't get.
Well, what do you think about that? I mean, we keep reading this stuff about how they're going to win the reelection. And I look at America, I talk to people, I try to talk to people that are just people. I don't find anybody most people are in a state of shock at the stuff they're doing, whether it's gender. They're insane on gender. They're completely, absolutely insane on gender.
It's demonic. I'm a Southern Baptist, Rudy. I expect you're Catholic because you're a Yankee, but I'm Southern Baptist. I think that's demonic. I think that comes straight from the same way.
Look, we both read the first book of Genesis, and God made it pretty clear: man, woman.
There's just two of us. Just two of us.
That's it. Man, woman, and then he bothered to repeat it. Man and woman. And that's it. That's what you are. Yeah. Now we got furries.
Yeah, it's beyond belief, and just the difference in where. And I tweeted several things out on my X account at Tim Burchett. I said, this is your Democrat Party, and I said, this is not the party of Truman. And then I quoted Ronald Reagan. I said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party; they left me. And I said, the Democrat Party has left America. That's why you're seeing you deal with labor, all those labor guys and gals. They don't want no part of this, Rudy. I see those guys out hunting and fishing, and they'll be in church with me, and they'll smell like beer, but I'm okay with that. They work their asses off, and I love them. I love them. My dogs. See my dog. Hang on. Charlie, shut up. That's one of my dogs. Sorry.
So now inside the house, where do the experts think that the House is more vulnerable than the Senate?
Yes, sir, they do, and part of it is because we're going to have to take the gloves off. You understand that as a more than everybody is. This isn't a game of gentlemen or gentle ladies. This is a fist fight. Politics is a blood sport, and you better start addressing that. And that's part of the problem we've got we're addressing this week. I said, yeah, and I blasted them on Twitter and the news, our own party, because we're talking about appliances that, the Biden administration had regulated. And I get it. It's going to cost, it costs people tens of thousands of dollars for these crappy toilets you got to flush 3 times, or a refrigerator that won't keep anything cold because it, doesn't have the right Freon in it or something. And so we've got a real problem there with our messaging. President Trump is right. He said we do not message right, and that is a big problem. And that's why I take the gloves off on them. I go after the Chinese.
You're clear as hell, and you could. I think people. I don't know how they missed this. People want that now. I think it's almost. They don't care what you say. They want to understand it. They want.
Yeah.
They want to know, who the hell are you?
And that's what people say about me. They always say you're plain talker. I have college education. I mean, it took me 6 years to get through University of Tennessee, and I didn't drink or smoke pot, and it still took me 6 dadgum years. My dad was dean of student conduct. My mom was a teacher. My brother.
Let me ask you something. Can you read? Can you read?
Yeah, apparently the governor of California
the governor of California can't read.
What the heck? How does he get by with that? If I'd said that, they'd have crucified me. I'd be on the cross by morning.
Oh yeah, remember, not only did he say it, he said it, to a group of black people,
of black folks. What in the world? And he gets by with it. And they're, it's just it's. My daddy said one time. He said the problem in the black community is they need leaders, and these people that they've got are taking advantage. They want the disruption because it keeps them in power.
Yeah, I think the really successful ones, of which I know many, they almost don't want to be part of politics.
No.
And in a way, they got to get over that, and they got to get involved. But it's like, I don't want to be part of that. They're all crooked, and they're all, What kind of dog? What kind of dog you got?
Oh, it's Cavalier King Charles.
That's nice.
It's a great story. Not a great story. My wife's a widow, and she had Isabel, who's now mine. Her husband was a master chief on a Navy sub, died of like a massive heart attack, stroke type situation up in DC, and they had a Cavalier King Charles, and Kelly she raised Isabel on her own, and she did a great job until I came along. I probably ruined it, but they had a Cavalier, and she got rid of it. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't know what even a Cavalier King Charles looks like. And I was meeting with this guy in my office. He's a good buddy of mine. I said, hey, and just out of the blue, I said, hey, if y'all know anybody that's got one of these Cavalier King Charleses, let me know. I want to buy one. And he goes, are you kidding me? He said, and this is the kind of guy, I mean, I don't run with these folks, Rudy, but he said, my wife's flying up on our plane to get 2 of them today. And we want, and he said, and I'll only take care of 1. So I brought that dog home. Charlie, come here.
Charlie got taken off the private plane to go to you?
Yeah. I mean, I came over there and the price was right, and I brought it home, and he's like a little love muffin.
Let's see him. Is he there?
Yeah. Can you show him?
Hey, Charlie,
go get him.
All my people love dogs.
The mayor loves dogs.
Of course, I love dogs. My God, sometimes they were my best friends. When I was mayor, Goalie was my best friend. Sometimes
we'll bring him back on. He's going to go get the dog here, and so we didn't know the congressman he was a dog man. There he is.
Oh, wait. Oh, look at that guy.
He wants down, but Buzz.
No, Charlie's pretty. How old?
I don't know. How old is he, honey? He's 8, and Buzz is here too.
Oh, okay.
Buzz, let's see Buzz.
Come here, Buzz. Oh, here he is. We think he was in a cage his whole life, and when I got him, he didn't have it. He never even been on grass, Rudy.
How old is he?
How old is he, honey? 8. Hey, come here and say hello to Rudy Giuliani, Mama.
Now, when you say, please, come on.
Come here, Kelly. Say hey. Say hey.
Oh,
Honey. She's been at the barn all day. I'm sorry, but
You know,
anyway,
I'm a very big dog lover.
I knew you were, but I
I'm
didn't.
I'm an incessant watcher of Rocky Kanaka, who goes into.
Do you know that guy?
Do you know Rocky Kanaka? Rocky
No.
Kanaka goes.
He is laughing at the name.
Rocky goes into kennels and deals with depressed dogs
Oh,
and gets them to become active. So people, because when people go to a kennel to take a stray dog, the ones that are sitting in the back like this, they never. So
Yeah.
he gets them. He teaches them to get active and become prime candidates for adoption.
well,
He does a lot more things than that. He doesn't
I
even
got-
know that I'm a supporter of his. He got a great podcast. I mean, you get it on. Just put in Rocky Kanaka. Watch one of them. You'll
I
fall in
will.
love
I
with it.
got
I'll
set
send it-
up though. I got set up on Buzz because Isabel. I don't even think I'd adopted. I adopted Isabel yet? I had adopted her, but anyway, and you know, little girls, man, it's like boom. She's, yeah, Isabel. Kelly talked to the vet, and they said we're going to foster a Cavalier, and he'd been in a kennel his whole life and everything. So
When you
Isabel
say-
says
how long had he been in a kennel?
a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. He was one when
Wow.
we got him. He was one when we got him. But Isabel said, you know, my little girl, she said, I was mayor then, and she said, Dad, she said, I really love Buzz. Is there any way we can keep him? And we were just fostering him. I didn't know that was a racket. And I said, well, honey, I don't know. Let me find out. And then of course Kelly calls them, and I said, Isabel, I remember I told her, I said, honey, I'll pray about it. And I did. But I think God already knew that once you start fostering them, you can't get rid of
If
them.
they're good dogs, you fall in love with them. You can't give them up. Then you never know what happens to them. If you give them up, you don't know what happens.
I passed a law in Tennessee when I was a state senator that these service dogs could come into restaurants. Oh, Rudy, people were raising hell with me. And I said, let me tell you something. I've been in a restaurant with your kid. I'd rather be in a restaurant with these dogs, you know. And the editorial cartoons, so they just went all over. They loved it. And so I've still got it on my wall in my office there at my congressional office in Knoxville. But anyway, I'd forgotten you were a dog guy, but I love them, man.
I love those rescue. I love all the rescue.
Yeah, because that's what me. I told somebody I'm a rescue. Kelly rescued me. So
yep, me too. But so now tell me the final result. Does that speech set us on the right course now? If we follow it?
Yeah, I think if we'll just listen. But that's the problem you got, Rudy. Trump won over. I got cheese in my hand. Trump won overwhelmingly across the country. And what did Congress do? We're one flu season away from losing the majority. We're one vote now. We're down to one vote. My buddy Doug Lamoff out of California died, rice farmer. And so we're one vote away from losing everything. And we better start paying attention to the Trump agenda. That's number one. If we can do that, I think we can gain seats. But if we don't, we're going to be in sad shape. And our leadership's got to get on this thing. It's just, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of those guys. They all, everybody wants to, when you get to Congress, the first thing everybody does, all the freshmen do, they sit around in their mind, they think of a channel they can get to be speaker. I must be the only guy up there. I wouldn't take speaker. I wouldn't step out of the electric chair to be speaker of the House. I don't want to give up my dadgum life. I love my girls. I'm the worst fundraiser in America. That's what all the consultants come in and say. Well, you got a great internet presence. You're incredibly good looking, which I already know, which you and I both know. But I'm terrible at raising money, and I could never. I just have trouble asking people for money, and it's my worst attribute.
Phone calls. They want the members making
phone calls. If you're ever in trouble, we'll give you Ted. He's great at it.
Yeah.
All right.
Phone calls. I know all about that.
They put them in these offices for hours at a time, Mayor.
This is the quintessential American congressman.
America's congressman.
This is what in our dreams we thought we elected to Congress.
I don't know about that.
There may be a couple of you, pal, but
not too many.
Best job I ever had was mayor of Knox County. I remember one time this doctor called me and said, "Hey, we're emergency room physicians. We live down here off North Shore in a real fancy little neighborhood." And the guy said, "We can't get out." And I said, "I know we're rich and all that." And I said, "Dude, hang on a second." My head of my engineering department was out in the lobby. I heard him out there. I said, "Dwight," I said, "we got any trucks on North Shore?" And he said, "I can have one there in 15 minutes. And I said, "Doc, just wait. We're coming your way." And that's what being, you got a crack house or something, call the sheriff. Sheriff says, "Burchetti, I'm on it." Some guy's beating up, getting beaten. Some guy beat up by some dirtbag. Call the sheriff. And I got to get, how it was when you were mayor. You could get things done. Congress, you got to have a hearing. Everybody wants a letter. Oh, we don't want to offend anybody. I'm sick of that crap, Rudy.
Yeah.
We got to take our country back, dude.
Well, you're part of it. Thank you very, very much. It was a delight talking to you. Thank your wife for allowing us to see the dogs. I want to see more of them.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You come to Knoxville.
I am. I'm going to make it a point to come there.
We're going to bring you. Hang on. Charlie's calmed down a little bit.
Charlie, come here, Charlie. Oh my God.
Charlie.
That's the spaniel, huh?
Yeah, he's the what is it? Cavalier King Charles. He's
Cavalier
anyway,
King Charles.
He's the man. He rules the roost. He snores though. I can hear him all the way across the dadgum house. I've been there watching color TV, and I can hear this. I mean, what in the world is that? There's a volcano erupting around here, and it's freaking Charlie. He don't care.
We love having you on, Tim. You know that.
Rudy,
God bless you for putting up with it. I know it's a burden for a guy like you.
If your congressman loves Washington, D.C., you better get you another dadgum congressman. We got to take our country back, Rudy.
God bless you.
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you and your wonderful wife. And your dogs.
Yes.
That was a treat, wasn't it?
Oh, we were supposed to only have them for.
I know.
10 minutes.
I know. We were going to talk about the State of the Union. Well, we did. We talked about the State of the Union, the way it happens for real human beings.
Right.
And here's the thing about that congressman you just watched, Tim Burkett. Tim is a real guy. I don't care. I actually don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. I do, really. But I mean, okay.
Yeah.
But if you're a Democrat and you're a real guy, you can relate to me as a real guy. I can kind of understand where you are. When you're a Gavin Newsom, I don't know what the hell you are. I really don't.
And I love it. You being a New Yorker, Representative Burchett being as Tennessee as it gets, right? But the two of you together, I mean.
Only because
that's
we're
a
both
ticket.
real. We're both real. I understand.
Well, you lived in Kentucky for a couple of years.
I don't care if you come from a city, a suburb, a rural area, or the mountains. Human beings are human beings, and all there's nothing inextricably impossible about any one of the four of them to relate to each other. If they're human, if they see human beings as human beings, if they evaluate them based on merit, not upon external credentials,
right?
That very often belie merit,
right?
And
you, Mayor, you can tell he loves people. He
100%.
Loves people. He's a people person, and
he loves people,
and he cares about people.
He loves being involved with people. He loves to solve their problems. If he solves their problems, he feels good about himself. I'm going to get really, you can tell he loves his mother. His mother probably taught him that. Mother taught him to be of use to people. So when he solves, when he seems like he enjoyed being mayor more than anything else, I can understand that. Because as a mayor, you can get immediate fulfillment. So somebody comes to you in Congress and they've been horribly treated by the government, and the government's done all these things to hurt them. It's going to take a long time for you to help them with legislation and
committees. Like you said, they want letters.
You're the mayor, and they ripped apart your property and they destroyed your property. You can immediately go get the police. You can put a little boost in the police finding the people who did it. You can go get them help to put things back together again. You can give them protection until it's all done. And you can feel a sense of accomplishment. I had a radio show when I was mayor, and I had a young woman once call me up who was seriously considering suicide. And I held up the show. I kept her on the phone deliberately, and I sent my staff out there. I mean, I would have gone myself, but she would have been able to tell that I was headed there. So I got the best people on my staff from
NYPD.
from the Department of Community Services, psychologists, the people who work with the homeless people, which we did long before this communist was in. Except we sent those people with the cops, so jackass they wouldn't be killed. So I sent my best people there. When they got there, they let me know. When they was talking to her and she was secure and they felt comfortable, I ended the conversation. I ended the show. I got in my car and I went out there. And we solved her problem. And as far as I know, she's living a really, really good life, at least as of about a year and a half ago. And I'm not going to go into her personal issues. And they weren't as usual with these suicide situations. They often are not anywhere near as bad as the person thinks they are. But what's happened is there's a loss of perspective. And the loss of perspective deprives you of hope and the ability to think that, oh my God, things can get better. The minute that's eliminated, well, the idea of suicide starts to come in. They call it suicidal ideation. That's just a fancy way of saying you start thinking about it. So we're going to take a short break. And on that rather pessimistic note, we'll come back to something a lot happier. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live
We're live tonight.
from Palm Beach. I should have clarified that because I don't want to mislead you. We have the Capitol there because we're still reacting to the brilliant, maybe very best State of the Union speech ever given. Certainly by President Trump, who's given some of the best, but maybe ever. Now that's hard because States of the Union speeches have to accomplish different things at different times. And of course they're political. Of course. I mean, the president can only lead the country if he has political support. So there's good political and bad political, and everything now is bad political because the Democrats have ruined it so much, like they did during slavery. And I know you're going to think I'm overdoing it, and it's both sides. And if I said that, I probably would get more people that agreed with me, but I'd be lying to you. It's not both sides. And Republicans aren't perfect, and Republicans have a lot of bad people. And Republicans probably have their proportionate share of criminals, creeps, bums, and perverts. However, the Democrats now have it systemically. They are systemically dishonest. Let me make a point now that maybe will make sense. The squad, made up of those childish morons, but they're worse than that because they're traitors. Now we're acting up like bad kids in high school during Trump's speech. The one who married her brother and the other one who scares children when she comes on television. I don't know. I could have missed it. I never heard them ever say anything nice about America. One of them comes from probably one of the worst countries in the world, Somalia. Worst in terms of poverty, tragic. Worst in terms of corruption, which may explain some of the poverty. Worst in terms of violent crime and perverted treatment of women. That's the one on the left screaming there like, I don't know what. Looking like she really belongs in the Ayatollah's prison, I guess, or whatever, wherever he puts women. And the other one was trying really hard to remain neutral.
Yeah.
She had any more lipstick on her, it'd be covering her nose. But she couldn't help it because she's also a completely uncontrolled left-wing, Islamic-loving, terrorist-loving traitor. Look at that woman looking back at them. She's probably a Democrat saying, how the hell did I get in the same political party with them? Here's the problem for her. I have no idea who she is. I'm just going to do a fictitious analysis of her, okay? She's saying to herself, how the hell did I ever get in the party with these animals back here? And calling them animals is not racist, xenophobic, or anything else. It's because of that behavior. It's because of that and the yelling during a State of the Union speech. It's also the way she's dressed. My grandfather would understand, Rodolfo would understand this completely. He wouldn't allow his children born in America to speak Italian. He wouldn't allow them to, whatever it meant, to dress Italian. He was a tailor. He made them their suits so they would look American. When his relatives, both nephews and sons, went off to fight in the Second World War, which included fighting against Italy, some of his, we used to call them, Italians in those days, paisans, meaning from the same country side, paisan, would say, oh, it's terrible that they're going to fight against Italy and da-da-da-da. My grandfather, no, I didn't hear this, but this is a legend in my family from so many that, and the little bit I knew of my grandfather, absolutely true. My grandfather used to say, you know, if you really feel that way, I'm doing pretty well in my business and my wife makes a tremendous amount of money for him. Right? And I'll give you a ticket back to Italy. If you were happier there, go back. But you left about the time I left, and I think I know why you left. And this country's been very good to you. Your kid's got a great job. Your other kid has a wonderful job. One is being educated. You think back under Mussolini, that would be happening? We're Americans now. He said, how could you stop being Italian? I haven't stopped being Italian. We're Americans now. First. Then we can think about all the rest of it. I mean, that story was told to me when I can't remember. And it's like in here, 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 here. And I really did think some time ago, I wish I had gotten somebody to sponsor a bill. Not that you can do it by bill, but wouldn't it be better if I described myself as an American Italian? I see some Italian Americans and others, Irish Americans, German, I see them describe themselves now as American. And I like that. I think that's good. I think it might be more instructive and helpful in the assimilation process that's going to go forward. Even though those of us who have been here into a first, second, and third generation probably don't need it. It might be better if we just inverted it, right? American Italian, American Irish, American German, American Black, American Dominican, Hispanic, whatever you prefer. Because that's where we're going. See, that's why we come here. We don't come here to live in Calabria. I won't pick Calabria. Firenze. We don't come here to live in Milano. We don't come here to live in Avellino. We don't come here to live in Somalia. We come here to live in America. We adopt all the necessary things that brought us here, which are superior to our country, which are most things, by the way. To this day, America is superior to Italy. It is surely superior to Somalia, and it is very superior to England. So we adopt the things that are American that brought us here. And we keep our family traditions, our religious traditions. And in a way, in a gentle way, they help the positive ones work their way in. They're adopted by other people. They work their way into this very intricate definition of American. They're not forced on America. I do not remember any of the prior generation of immigrants requiring that their law substitute for American law. Because that's completely illegal. That's completely insane. You come here and our law supersedes. Sharia law is gone, sweetheart. It's gone. No more Sharia law. If you liked it, there's probably something wrong with you. If you've read the Quran and you agree with all of it, there's probably something wrong with you. But how much we can do about that now? We lost that battle. Or maybe we haven't. But in any event, it's that American part that has to be emphasized. So let me get you up on a couple of things here that, aside from the very, very powerful speech the president gave, which really dominated most of today. The Cuban regime executed 4 people. Now, we don't know what the hell that's about, but they're on tenterhooks. We're going to have to see how the president reacts to this, how we react to this. And most of all, I mean, this is one I think, I'm going to bet that the president has, to a large extent, said to Marco, I know the president really well, and I know he would, we're going to be guided by you, Marco, on this Cuban thing. Nobody knows it better than you. And I know Marco's views on Cuba quite well, because I work with him on it. Meta, owned by Zuckerberg, right, has bought $100 billion of the major North Korean chip company. Significant because we are, significant because this is very strange, but yes, China controls a lot of the rare earth, a lot of the rare minerals, a lot of the chips. They do not control the master chips, the super ones, the ones that are capable of massive calculations, massive, beyond what we could possibly comprehend. That's all in Korea, or it was all in Korea, until we got a great president, not a numbskull crook in the White House. First thing he did, his first deal was with Korea. His first deal was to get Korea to invest $1 trillion in building facilities in America, around Arizona, but elsewhere, so that those same chips could be developed in the United States. Meta has now accelerated that by putting $100 billion plus into developing it with them to accelerate it. Now, that's important for this reason. If China would have attacked Taiwan and cut off Taiwan, China would get all the chips and America would get none, and Europe would get none. And within a couple of years, they'd have a heck of a lot more power than we have. Well, we started changing that the day after Trump came into office. And we've already made progress. And we've got massive plans and tremendous funding for it and construction going on. Zuckerberg runs Meta, right? Well, I mean, Zuckerberg and I don't see eye to eye on everything, but thank you for this investment. Yeah, you have no idea how single-minded your president is on catching you up and putting you ahead of China. We're going to do it. We're doing it in Trump time, not some bureaucrat asshole's time. Ukraine had a massive, or I shouldn't say massive, Ukraine had a really, really big victory using drones and using now a new kind of drone that's hard to detect. And they really fouled up the Russians as the Russians were trying to take another city. And good old murdering Putin, sitting there in his homicidal retreat, found out that he lost more troops than he killed Ukrainians. As he's extending this war purely for, I don't know, what is he going to gain if he picks up 4 miles of another city, which he hasn't done? He was actually set back by 5 miles. But let's say he gains 5 miles and he kills 1,000 Ukrainian civilians. He's supposed to be a Christian. Doesn't he think he's going to have to answer for that, Ted? Or is he just a complete liar and complete piece of crap? And can I ask you a question just for a little help on this? Does the president say nice things about him because he has to? I mean, and also I have to admit, I'm weird on murderers. I can be extremely sympathetic with criminals. I can embrace the idea of reform and turnaround, except maybe for prepubescent pedophiles. Because I'm a Christian and I believe in redemption. And when it comes to governmental murderers who use it beyond the strict confines of what is necessary, which absolutely drives them crazy when they have to do it, I can't deal with these people. That's why I threw Arafat out of the UN. Yeah, people think it was some kind of political statement. I don't even know if at the time I was really capable of a political statement. I wasn't that political at that point. You know why I threw him out? Because I had investigated him for homicide. I had in my mind not just Leon Klinghoffer, whose case just tortured me, including the opera about it, but the 26 other Americans that Arafat deliberately killed. And when the president of the United States, namely Bill Clinton, took his hand out of his pocket for enough time to shake hands with him, I was disgraced as an American. It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts that he gave him this kind of, and I said, I don't think you can trust a murderer like this. Now, in the fullness of time, I turned out to be right because Arafat wasted his time, wasted his money, and got him into the two-state solution, which turned out to be a useless dead end, but took billions from him. And wifey Arafat, if she's still alive, is running around the south of France as one of the richest paid women there. And we're sitting there with a problem much compounded by Clinton's stupidity with Arafat. So I threw him out of the UN concert and was condemned by every left-wing media in the country, including the New York Times. And like the president likes to say, that should be added to the list of Rudy was right. Rudy was right about Arafat. And all of the foreign policy experts were wrong, including many of the 51 who lied about him and President Trump, and now are not accountable for that. They can accuse me of the worst thing you could possibly accuse me of, collaborating with Russians. You have no idea how much of an abomination that is to me. I grew up hating communism, hating it for religious reasons and political reasons. And when these creeps did that, I couldn't believe that anybody would believe that I would work with the Russians, who I still consider to be in many ways, if not philosophically communist, using their methods. And I think I know a lot more about it than every one of those 51, who, by the way, are massive failures. These are the people that brought you the weapons of mass destruction. Now, these are the people that overthrew Saddam Hussein instead of the Ayatollah. An awful lot of Americans would have been alive if they made that decision differently. Huh? Market reaction. We want a market reaction. Did we show it to the? I know we did on the other show. Would you show them what the markets did, Ted, in reaction to President's speech?
That's right. So we got to bring this up from last show. The markets, they like to predict doom and gloom. We're going to try to bring up what we got yesterday here. So this will be this morning's. Oh, so that'll be the opening numbers for today, right?
No secrets.
So that's his board.
That's my famous old whiteboard. It goes all over with me. So during the day, I put them on the cards and we keep moving them around. It's like a shuffling first story, second story, third story, no story. Oh, get this story. And right before the Cubans killed 4 people. So we don't have the details, but there you go. Here it is. That's that card there. I don't know. It kind of makes it a game and fun. You have to have fun when you're working. Please learn that.
Right.
We have one last story that I don't have a feel for. I don't have a feel for. And that is a Tucker Carlson situation. And I like Tucker in many, many ways. I mean, there's not a bit of guile in this at all. And I somehow feel that sometimes I'm surrounded by people that are filled with guile. And I don't know the people that are involved in this Tucker Carlson. And I'll tell you where I am universally, absolutely convinced. And that's Erica Kirk. Leave her alone. Will you leave her alone, damn it? The woman lost her husband in a way that, we think of Jackie Kennedy. I always had a special feeling. And Jackie Kennedy, I would consider having been a friend of mine. She wanted to represent me for my book. I had lunch with her several times. I had a dinner at Gracie Mansion. At her request, I had lunch with her son to advise him on law school. I thought Jackie Kennedy was an exceptionally intelligent and very, very fine woman. So I make up my own mind about people. I didn't understand, despite the fact that I've always had a good relationship with Tucker and always had good feelings about him, despite the fact that some people said horrible things about him, just like some people, I'm sure, said horrible things about me to him, right? I'm a big boy. I understand this. I don't know. I think I understand it better than most and as good as anyone. But then I make up my own mind about certain things. When he sat down with the little Nazi, I couldn't take it. And I'll tell you why I couldn't take it. When I say a little Nazi, I don't know if he's a Nazi or a make-believe. I just don't, I don't know. He says he loves Hitler. He says he loves, is it Stalin or is it Trotsky? I don't remember. He loves one of them too. Yeah. He says horrible things about a man that I admire beyond the stars, Mike Huckabee. He goes back and forth saying horrible things about Donald Trump.
Yep.
Loves him, hates him, loves him, hates him, loves him, hates him. Didn't vote for him. And we get stuck with him. Now, here's the part about Tucker's interview that gets me. It's not that he interviewed him. I would not have, I don't think. It would have been a close question if I had the opportunity to be a question. Or do you want to give him the time? Or do you want to really honestly expose him or give him a chance to defend himself? I can live with that if that's what you were doing. He didn't do that. He's right. Tucker's a smart man. Tucker is as capable as anybody in America right now of asking tough, relevant questions, tough questions, and is really good at it. If you look at him and Huckabee, you will see that. I think Huckabee got the better of him, but I'm prejudiced. I love Mike, and I like Tucker. There's a difference. And I've been through a lot more with Mike. I'm running against him. Would you believe it? I became an admirer of him running against him. I became convinced he could be president when I ran against him. But I've nothing against Tucker, and I listened to that, and they both made very good points. And maybe because I agree with the points that Mike made, I thought Mike won it decisively. But you could have an opposite opinion of that. When he did the other interview with
Fuentes.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know how to describe Fuentes. Honestly, I don't know what Fuentes is. I don't know if this is a sick guy making it all up for attention, if he really is prone to being an authoritarian and a Nazi and a communist and he's a shaka seeking attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched, a while back, we watched a lot of his, probably watched more of his video than probably most people that we watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with all of that, I couldn't come to a real feel on him, except he's very dangerous because the things he says are very inflammatory.
Yep.
And they inflame the side that I'm on largely, maybe not over there. I'm over here. I'm not over there. But I want those people brought in. I want them educated, made more broad-minded. And all he's doing is the opposite. Now, I would have thought that Tucker is pretty much where I am. But I guess we always think somebody is where we are before we analyze it. And then he gets him on and he gives him literally, and I'm going to tell you, you can't convince me I'm wrong about this, so don't try. He literally took him, put him on his lap, and let him give the best possible representation of himself without ever asking him critical questions, even when he promised to do it and broke his promise. When the guy just broke out saying, "Oh, I love Lenin too," or I think it was Lenin's birthday. He said, "I love Lenin too. There's a real story to that." And Tucker was surprised. Now, he shouldn't have been surprised. Had his team done research, he said that before. I knew that. Which tells me that maybe Tucker's getting a little lazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was surprised, and it looked like he wanted to go after him, but he stopped. He said, "We'll circle." I like the word because it's an Obama word, right? That
Circle back.
TQST used to use.
Mm-hmm.
We'll circle back to that. No. It was the other one. It was the other one who did
Jen
that.
Psaki.
Oh, that biggest liar of all. Jen Liabecky. Wasn't it Jen? Little Red Lying Hood? Wasn't that her name?
Jen Psaki, Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Lying Hood. That's right.
Little Red Lying Hood.
A blast from the
Right.
past.
She's the one who would say on questions like, why did Biden give up an air base 400 miles from China? I'll have to circle back to you on that. She's still circling, by the way. So Trump adopted that and said in the middle of the interview, "Well, we'll circle back to that." I waited for the whole interview and we didn't circle. We didn't even circle, much like back to it. He wasn't gonna embarrass him by asking him, which would make his support of Hitler that much more incredible, insane, dangerous, someone not to follow. If he also followed that, I mean, between the two of them, they wiped out 40 million people. They stand for everything that's anti-American, everything that's anti-Tucker all his life. I do not get it. Now, where do we come to? I did my piece. I felt I did what I should do because I want to show, I want to remove from the Republican Party any vestige of anti-Semitism. We suffered from it for too long, fairly and unfairly, both. And I've been a 100% complete supporter of Israel for so long now that nobody can question it. And for reasons I am willing to defend against anybody, anywhere, in any form who wants to debate me. And I promise you, by the time we're finished, as I always have, they will be on the floor and I will be standing. If there's any question about it. There are subjects I won't debate on. You want to debate on Israel, I'll destroy you. Come on. Come on. However, the problem with this was there was no debate. When Fuentes got around to the subject touching on blood libel, Tucker said, stupidly, poorly informed, "Oh, we don't believe in that, blood libel." Oh, yes, he does. He's all over it, both before and after his interviewing you, saying the blood of Jesus is on the hands of the Jewish people. He has said it in chants. He said it in interviews. He's explained it. He's explained the significance of it. You either were lying for him, Tucker, or you were so lazy about this interview you never bothered to check. So he got to put it over on the American people. Now you do a hell of a thing on the left when they do that. What about judging yourself, my friend? This guy is a dangerous, dangerous presence in our party. I don't know if he's for real or he isn't, but he's a dangerous presence. He's raising an evil that's 3,000, 4,000 years old. He's raising it based on the very things that have been rejected for thousands of years. I'm going to conclude right now. I want you to go see Dr. Maria. I'm just going to ask you to consider the following, as I have before. Whenever you hear this blood libel thing, that when Jesus was being crucified, Pilate brought him out and he gave the crowd, which was made up of Jews for Jesus and against Jesus, and Gentiles for Jesus and against Jesus. Okay. So he said to the crowd, because he wanted to be spared having to kill Jesus, because his wife had trepidations about it. If you listen to Matthew and take it seriously, and I do, I believe it's the word of God. So Pilate said, you can have Barabbas, a known murderer and thief, basically is going to go out there and murder you and steal from you again. Or you can have, I think he refers to this innocent man, Jesus, who says he's God, but who really cares? Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And the crowd said, Jesus, Jesus, free Barabbas, Jesus. Let his blood be on us and our children. Now, let's say only the Jewish people said that, not the Gentiles or the other, but just the Jewish people. Just one little group of Jewish people. There's another group of Jewish people saying the opposite. Now, this Jewish people, by saying that, have now obtained a curse that goes on for 2,000 years to Mike Goldberg in Brooklyn. Are you crazy? You think there are witches, huh? I mean, are you crazy? That's the question to ask Fuentes. First question, are you out of your effing mind, Fuentes? How many psychiatrists have you been to? Now, surprisingly, if you ask him that, he might say 4 or 5. Because when Piers Morgan asked him, have you ever had sex? Which I fell out of my chair when he asked him that. And I thought the guy would object, or he said no. Well, he doesn't like women either. The most revealing part of the interview with Tucker is how much he hates women. Even Tucker was taken aback by it. I mean, he just despises women. And Piers says to him, how old are you? I think he said 28. He said, have you ever had sex with a woman? He said, no. And Piers said, possibly as a joke, maybe as a, I don't know. Here's what he said. He said, well, maybe that's why you don't understand them. I don't know, a guy 28 years old who's making all these opinions on women and how terrible they are and how they boss, hasn't had well, never mind. That's a very sensitive subject, but it gives you a sense of what a probing interview it would be. And then if you reveal the obvious horrible implications of his positions that feed into years and years of genocide and murder and persecution, you then lead people away from him, not toward him. And the last thing we need is to be burdened with this when we're trying to save America. So, Tucker, what is going on? And what happened when you went to Israel and they say they put you in the VIP lounge and you say they detained you? Huckabee says you were put in the VIP lounge. People I trust say you were put in the VIP lounge. I have been in that VIP lounge many, many times. Way back when I was U.S. attorney investigating former Nazis. And if you ever want to talk about the reality of the Holocaust, I haven't seen all the documents, but I spent a good deal of my life in Israel going over the documents because I had to prosecute two of the cases. So I can tell you as a non-Jew the truth about the Holocaust. And not only isn't it exaggerated, it's not described at the full length and breadth that it really existed. Well, okay. We'll be back tomorrow. You go over now and listen to Dr. Maria. She's got a great show today. And we'll be back tomorrow night, right? 7 on Lindell and 8 right here. And let's see what happens. I think I think we're coming closer in Iran, and tomorrow night we'll spend more time on that and exactly where things are configured now. I think our last, who knows, what is so-called last ship arrives either tomorrow or the next day. Okay. Pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for the people of Iran. Pray for us. It's Lent. It's the season where we look forward to the passion and the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. It's the season in which we look forward to the Passover if we're Jewish. And it's a beautiful season no matter what we are, because spring is right behind all this snow. And if we don't have Mandami as a mayor, we're probably going to live through it. If we do, God bless you. I'm praying for you. But as Ed Koch said, you made the choice. I don't mean that. I feel terrible for you. I don't really think you made the choice. I think you're brainwashed, my fellow New Yorkers. I do. I wish you'd listen to me. I know it sounds terrible, but I was your best mayor. God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given